Call the meeting to order. Have a moment of silence. The approval of the agenda, if you could.
Moved by Lad Shaba, seconded by Eugene Ivanov. Be it resolved that the agenda for the special meeting of council held on February 23rd, 2021, beginning at 5:01 p.m. be approved as circulated to all members of council.
All in favor? Opposed? Passed. Declarations of pecuniary interest? None noted. Reports of municipal officers and communications. Regulations of meeting in person, verbal report by Bonnie Sackrider, Director of Community Services. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Through you to Council, I'll begin with a quotation from Dr. Carneal's latest letter to businesses and organizations. Although our district is moving to green, it does not mean that everything is a go. With our smaller population, it only takes a few cases for us to move zones. That is why even in the green zone, it's still imperative that you practice all public health measures and continue to be COVID smart. So what does that mean for us in terms of meetings? We should be using a layered approach with multiple measures in place to keep our staff safe. The best and most important thing we can do is control. Do whatever we can to limit face-to-face meetings. If it's absolutely essential that we're face-to-face, consider a blended approach such as what you're seeing tonight. Minimal numbers of individuals are together, and the remainder use virtual options. For those individuals who absolutely must be in the same room, ensure you are keeping a distance of 2 meters from others at all times. Increase environmental cleaning and disinfecting before and after the meeting. Reduce the time people are in contact with each other when possible. The threshold is 15 minutes, meaning it's considered high risk when people who don't live in the same household are together, especially within 2 meters, for more than 15 minutes at a time. If there's a need for people to be within 2 meters from each other, proper PPE, personal protective equipment, is a requirement. At this time, our biggest worry are variants of concern, known as VOCs. They are highly contagious, and the protocol, if someone is in contact of a positive test for a VOC and have breached the 2 meter physical distancing measure without proper PPE, is a 2-week quarantine as opposed to self-monitoring. This could take out an entire unit of work. Therefore, we need to follow public health recommendations, ensure our staff are wearing the appropriate PPE if they have to be within 2 meter distance from each other for a prolonged period of time. What is PPE? It's a medical mask as opposed to a cloth mask and eye protection. So to summarize, restrict face-to-face meetings in the workplace whenever possible. If you are required to meet in person, wear a tight-fitting mask that covers your nose, mouth, and chin. Wear a medical-grade mask and eye protection if you are required to work within 2 meters of another person. Wash your hands frequently, do not touch your face, enhance cleaning and disinfection, and complete screening prior to entering. Thank you very much and stay safe.
Thank you, Ms. Sackrider. Do we have any questions for Ms. Sackrider? Okay. We have a resolution to accept the verbal report.
Moved by Stacy White, seconded by Casey Owens. Be it resolved that the verbal discussion on regulations for meetings in person be received.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll move down to 4.2. Team Northern Throttle 2021 Snow Drag Race Events. And I'll ask Richard Charbonneau, the Acting Director of Developmental Services, to make a presentation.
Thank you, Councillor Owen, and through you to the rest of Council. What we have here is a memo to council regarding the upcoming Team Northern Throttle Snow Drag Racing events. Back on December 1st, 2020, we came to council to request 2 dates in the wintertime, one being in January and one being in March, for Team Northern Throttle to be able to host their annual drag racing at the snow storage area on Goodfish Road. At this time, they've, and due to the COVID lockdowns and emergency measures that were in place, they weren't able to hold them as planned. At this time, they're asking that council permit a rescheduling of the events, being January 28th, February 26th to 28th, and March 19th to 21st exclusively. We're also requesting that council consider giving the Director of Development Services the authority to assist Team Northern Throttle in rescheduling these events without having to come to council. Due to short turnaround times, such as what we're dealing with right now. Should emergency orders related to the COVID-19 pandemic be issued again that affect the dates, we would be able to reschedule them in a relatively quick turnaround times. So in their first request, that's this weekend coming. Now it is realized that there's probably some concerns related to the pandemic and our district being green and all the ones around us being orange, red, white. The Temiskaming Health Unit, this event is safe to move forward in some respects, being within the district. However, it is discouraged for persons and to travel from other districts into our district. There's one area in particular, North Bay, Nipissing, I suppose. They're still it's locked down and stay-at-home orders, so they're not permitted to leave their district to come here. It's not. That's law. Everywhere else, it's not law, but it is discouraged. Team Northern Throttle has gotten the approval from the health unit to host the event. Being it's outside, all their safety protocols will be in place. They have plans. The plans were approved by the health unit. They've also submitted their Town of Kirkland Lake return to play operation plan. They've submitted that back to the Track 2021. That's a provincial motorsports promoters plan for dealing with the pandemic. So with that said, everything is in place to be able to host the event safely. At this time, though, it is ultimately up to council on whether or not these events should proceed. Do you have any questions?
Councillor Owens?
I guess I'll start this off. I am a member of Temiskaming Board of the Health Unit, and I've been thinking about this for a while now. When we first got taken out of lockdown and put into green, it was on my mind, and I reached out to Dr. Corneal, as he is the Chief Acting Medical Officer of Health, and voiced, had questions as to where we should be going with this. Reached out again because I was reading some of the comments on the Facebook page as to people from out of district are planning to come to this event. There's some people from Quebec that want to escape the restrictions they have in place to be able to come and compete in our town. So I reached out to Dr. Corneal, and he referred me to Ray Gullickson, who is, I guess, their lead individual on the COVID assessment. And he shared a letter with me this afternoon, which I shared with council shortly after I got it. And yeah, they say that legally, there's nothing that the health unit can do to stop this event from going through. But he does say that essentially, to simplify my answer, is that the event is able to comply, if the event is able to comply with provincial requirements, then it could go ahead. But having attendees from outside our district goes against provincial guidelines. And that's where I'm having issues saying yes to this. We've worked hard to keep the numbers down in Kirkland Lake or in Timiskaming District. We've had to make sacrifices. I haven't seen my parents since before Christmas. And it's the first time in my, don't want to say my age out public, but it's the first time in a very long time that I don't get to spend Christmas with my parents because of this stupid pandemic. And I do not want it on my conscience if, God forbid, a case comes in to this district because of this event or any event that we gave our blessing to. I don't want it on my conscience. I'd rather have people ticked off at me because I voted no against extending the dates than having it on my conscience have someone lost their life over this variant of concern with COVID. Thanks.
Any, Councillor Shaba?
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if anybody from that organization, if anyone is here. I'd just like you to share with us. I'm sure you do have a plan in place to prevent people from other regions from coming into your event. Will you be able to share that with us? Thank you.
Before we go there, I want to get other comments from councillors, if there are any. Councillor White?
Well, I am too concerned with the welcoming of people from other districts. I do understand that it's part of the racing that you want to get these other people in. That's how you get revenue. But at this time, it does go against guidelines to bring others from outside our district. We're the only one in green. Kirkland Lake and area is the only one in green in our northern area. So it is of concern to us. So yes, I agree with fellow councilman Shaba that if you have answers to these questions, we'd really appreciate some feedback.
Any further comments, questions from councillors? Okay, Mr. Sharman, I'll ask you to vacate that seat for a moment so I can, if one of the representatives from Team Northern Throttle would like to come forward, please. And if you could just state your name and
Blair
position.
Preston. I'm not sure how you really want answers to the questions. I mean, we did all our due diligence, tried asking all the questions. Everybody told us it was good to go up until Monday. As of right now, we're approved to have an event next Saturday. All we want to do is move it. Well, we want to move the January one till now and the next one till 2 weeks later. We've put out to the public that who's in lockdown is not allowed to travel and they're not welcome here. We've fully established that on our site. I don't know how you can stop other people from traveling. I mean, they're all going to come here doing anyways. They already are. I mean, clearly there was people on the trails this weekend from out of town. They're in our community. Everybody's traveling. I mean, I'm not sure what you want directly answered though.
Oh, sorry, Councillor White.
So you have the go ahead from THU
Yes.
to proceed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my experience with having attended, not so much snow drags, but car drag racing, and it's similar event is that it does attract a lot of participants from outside the district.
Absolutely, yeah.
And like Councillor Owens, that is a cause of concern for me.
Yep.
Because for one thing, we don't get a lot of news on what's happening in Quebec in terms of districts, or at least I don't see it on a regular basis, a breakdown. I mean, Councillor Owens may know better than me, having relatives over there. And I know historically that has been a draw to the races. I mean, I'm in relatively good health. I'm not the youngest person in the room by any means. But I have a mother-in-law who's past her mid-80s. And I want her to be able to go to the grocery store without undue worry. And it also gives me peace of mind to know that we have 0 cases right now in Temiskaming. And so I personally have some very serious reservations, and it's no knock on the organization. It's no knock on the type of sport.
Well, you're not stopping everything else from doing it, so.
Well, we don't have the authority to shut down the snowmobile trails, except on town property. We could shut them down on town property. I don't know of any other events that are taking place right now. I stand to be corrected if there are any other events going on right now.
That would have been,
No, go ahead. Feel
well, it
free
would
to
have been great
speak.
to know, because I did contact the mayor. The mayor continuously told us that we were okay. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have put it out to the public that we're going to have an event, and now we have to cancel again. Like I did all the steps. I started in January contacting him, and he told us, yes, it's good to go. He said he would make the calls. He did. He responded back to me that he had done that, and we're good to go. I mean, it's just, it's very.
I can
frustrating to deal with this.
understand your frustration.
You guys, at our last meeting, you told us to follow the Healthline guidelines. They are telling us we're good to go.
And at the last meeting, I raised the concern about people from out of the district coming in.
But you asked that we follow the health unit
Yep.
guidelines,
Yeah.
and that's what we're doing.
Councillor White?
Sorry, so you had been in contact with members of this council that led you to believe that you were okay to move it to this weekend?
Absolutely.
And then you were told as of
On
Monday?
when I asked for the contract that we sign every time we have an event, I was told that we had to come back to council.
And you have provided all the documentation needed that you believed you needed.
We
Okay,
provided everything that we're supposed to do.
thank you for that clarification.
Councillor Shabba?
Yeah, I just want to follow up with the question that I asked, and thank you very much. But you indicated that you will be following the health guidelines.
Yeah.
So what I want, as part of your planning, which I believe you do have, is what is it that you guys will be putting together to assure us that there will be a full compliance with that health guidelines. You can see when you come in today, when you walk in here, we had a lady in the front. She had also sign the form and a little bit of
We have the exact
all
same.
of that stuff. So that's the practical. If we're going to do something,
We
I
have,
said, what is the practical things that you're going to do? So if I show up there,
we have
I'm
the
not from
exact
Timmins,
same
I'm from
measures.
Shappy. So what am I supposed to do so that you say, well, this guy's in compliance, maybe, and who's going to be there to make sure that people are actually doing that. And, is anybody going to be at the gate or where you get in to make sure that people have their mask on, or they have the screening form, or they have the hand sanitizer and all of that stuff? So I'm just one of those. I know you have that, guys. So I just want to be reassured that some of those things will be in place.
Absolutely, right at the gate is exactly what you asked for. The exact same thing you have outside your door right here. There's a person there with the same checklist that was given to us by the town to follow, with hand sanitizer, a tracking of your phone number, where you're from, and your name.
I've already pushed the rules by allowing Blair to talk, and I don't want to push them any further. Councillor Owens?
No, go Ivanov first now.
Sorry, Councillor Ivanov. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, no, I'm listening to what's happening there. I feel that if the Temiskaming Health Unit has approved the races, and I think that Mr. Preston has gone to all the trouble it takes to do something during a pandemic. It's a low risk event, I think, because it is held outside. I would support them doing the event. I understand there's concerned people coming in from out of town, but I mean, there's, I would hope that if they're in a zone that's restricted, that they will stay at home and not come into Kirkland Lake. But the reality is they can get on a snow machine in Timmins or North Bay and skidoo to Kirkland Lake and be here anyway if they wanted to, or drive up. But I think if they take all the precautions, wear the masks, do the social distancing, wash their hands, use a hand sanitizer, I still support this event going ahead. Thank you.
Councillor Owens, did you?
I said I recognize you guys have done your due diligence. You've crossed out your T's or whatever, but I don't want my name associated to the risk if something happens. So I can't support it, but that's my decision. That's and I wish you guys all the best if it does go through, but it's my position on that.
Okay, I want to make it clear that the councillors that have spoken against are not speaking against your event or against your group or the work that you people have done in the community. In fact, I think they would be the first people, myself included, to say what an asset your organization has been to the community. The concerns are with the health and how much risk that different councillors are comfortable with. And personally, I find it puts me in a very awkward position because normally I want groups like yours to go out and promote Kirkland Lake all over the place and bring people in and let them see our community and add to our economy. So for me, it's a very difficult position I find myself right now. But I want to make it clear, this has nothing to do with the event, the organization, the people involved, because council does and has in the past supported you and will again in the future. And the vote will be whatever it is. Yes, Councillor Owens?
Just wanted to add to, and I do apologize if you were misled by certain members of council. And I didn't want to go there, but I think it needs to be said, like whatever council speaks with one voice, there's no individual members of council. We have one voice for the 7 of us. And it's unfortunate that you were led to believe that Facebook is an open form of communication between the Kirkland Lake Town Council and the general public, because Facebook is not an open form of communication.
It was private messaging, and I asked specifically if what protocol we had to follow.
And I get that, and I respect that, and I think it's unfortunate, and it goes on to a larger problem around this table right now. But it's very, and I do insist on apologizing for that because it is very unfortunate that it happened.
Sorry. I'm going to put the motion to a vote now. I'll ask Clerk Megan to read the motion.
So the motion is moved by Eugene Ivanov, seconded by Lad Shaba. Be it resolved that memo number 2020-dev-009M entitled Team Northern Throttle 2021 Snow Drag Race Events be received. That the Team Northern Throttle Snow Drag Race events and use of the Goodfish Snow Storage in 2021 be rescheduled from January 15th to 17th and March 5th to 7th to February 26th to 28th and March 19th to 21st inclusively. And that Council for the Corporation of the Town of Kirkland Lake authorizes the Director of Development Services to amend the winter event dates as needed if further pandemic restrictions arise in 2021 without having to return to Council for approval.
Can we get a recorded vote on that,
Yes.
please?
So this will be a recorded vote. And
So we'll go with Councillor Ivanov,
In favor of.
Councillor Owen,
nay.
Councillor Owen,
Nay.
Councillor Shaba, Councillor White.
Nay.
Defeated.
So the motion is defeated by a 3-2 vote.
That just closes.
Hang on. We're not, if you just let council take the table, please. Councillor White,
I would like to forward a motion that staff work with this group to arrange another date as soon as possible. As per the second part of the motion.
We can't, we've postponed it. We've put people off so many times. We can't go back out to the public. Everything's done. I mean, we're done as a committee. We are looking like fools again. And it's done.
Please.
We're gonna move towns.
can I have some order, please? Megan, could you read the motion that's proposed and ask for a mover as well? I assume Council White's going to move it.
I still will move.
Sure, and I just wanted to add, Councillor White, if we're okay to add to receive the report just to that, since that was defeated, we can add that.
Just 1 second. Yes, Mr. Charbonneau.
It's not about your decision or anything tonight. It's, I respect your decision and all that. It's just, I see how the feelings were around the table. Should we be coming back to council with that said, as opposed to the director making the decision. If they reschedule a date and let's say myself as the acting director approve that date, I don't want to get hung out.
Yeah. Councillor White,
Regardless of who's going to have to make this decision, it's going to either be a negative or a positive. The best this council and administration can do is try to support this group.
Absolutely.
So I was ready to absolutely hand over the delegation of the power to decide on this and work with this group beforehand, had it not been grouped together. I'm still confident in staff's expertise on this. It's just unfortunate the way everything played out this evening.
Councillor Shaba.
I just want to, you have a seconder for your motion, or you want to speak to the motion? There's a seconder and time to speak to the motion?
1 second, Clerk.
Sorry, just to add as well, just because for trying to make the motion. I believe that currently, based on the previous motion that was passed beforehand, that would still count that they're on board to go for next weekend. Is that right, Richard?
It was,
And they were trying
yeah,
to change the dates?
this one coming, yeah, March 5th.
So if that motion is still out in the world, just want to let you know that you might want to address that in this next motion if you don't want them to have, or to be able to be doing that next weekend. So we can work on that. So currently I would suggest that we do a motion to receive and then as well add in whatever language you would like, Councillor White.
Okay. So be it resolved that the memo you have signed numbers be received, that council of the corporation of Town of Kirkland Lake authorize the director of development and services to amend the winter event dates as needed if future pandemic restrictions arise in 2021 without having to return council for approval. And we have to put them off for this one. And to go forward with the March 6th.
They actually moved them back from March 5th and 7th to, I believe, the 20th.
Yeah.
So just so I'm clear, if these fellas come see me, as it stands right now, we're okay for the latter in March.
I would suggest we go with to decide the motion first.
Okay.
So moved by Stacy White. Is there a seconder?
Seconded by Ladd.
Okay, moved by Stacy White, seconded by Lad Shaba. Be it resolved that memo number 2020-dev-009M entitled Team Northern Throttle 2021 Snow Drag Race Events be received, and that council for the corporation of the town of Kirkland Lake authorizes the Director of Development Services to amend the winter dates as needed if future pandemic restrictions arise without coming to council for approval.
All in favor?
In favor.
Opposed? Carried. Richard, Mr. Charbonneau, I hope that my comments and action as chair of the meeting tonight does not cause you problems in dealing with the group, but I had to bring the meeting back to order, so I.
Absolutely not. Everything was fine. Your decision's respected. I just needed some clarity on going forward for myself and for those guys. Should they approach me for the latter one in March? That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to item 4.3. Chief Administrator Office Selection Options, report from Human Resources. I assume that, sorry, Cassandra, I'm not zoomed in here. Okay, a report from Ms. Young, Human Resources Supervisor.
All right, thank you, Councillor Owen, and through you to council. So due to the departure of the CAO, I am presenting this report to you today to provide council with an overview of both short and long-term options to consider for hiring of the new CAO. Each of these options have benefits and drawbacks that council will need to consider. So first, I'm going to go over these short-term options for consideration. So we have option number 1, which is redelegate the CAO duties. So council may choose to divide the necessary roles of a CAO between the clerk and another member of the senior management team until a permanent solution has been decided. Option 2 would be appointing an acting CAO. Council may choose to have senior management of the municipality rotate through the acting CAO role. Option number 3 would be appointing an interim CAO. Council may also choose to appoint an external CAO. I will also go through now the long-term options for consideration. So option 1, you may utilize an external search firm. So a search firm is a recruitment company that specializes in sourcing high-quality candidates for executive roles. They differ from contingency search firms in both their approach to candidate sourcing and how closely they work with the client. So we also have so that was option 1. We have option 2 now, which is conducting the recruitment process internally. So if we do decide to recruit internally through the Human Resources Department, the process for conducting the recruitment process internally would be to create the job posting based on the job description. So that will definitely be something regardless that we'll have to look at, is review of the job description and the required education and skills for that position. And then the second part of recruiting internally would be that we do the job posting and we advertise it in several media outlets and professional associations so that we attract quality candidates. Now we have option number 3. So that's hiring an external HR consultant. So if we decide to hire the CAO through an HR consultant, it would also include the Human Resources Department for the town. But instead of dealing directly with myself as a consultant, a consultant would be hired to assist council directly. So basically the consultant would be a subject matter expert and they would help out with that process. That's option number 3. And then the final option is option number 4 of do not hire a CAO. So because the Municipal Act does not require that we have a CAO, council could consider the merits of a non-traditional municipal structure without a CAO. So that concludes the short-term and long-term options. There are no direct financial implications associated with the approval of any of the short-term and long-term options presented. However, some of the options would require financial investments in order to proceed. So as mentioned, all of the options have benefits and drawbacks. It just depends on which route we decide to take. So I am open to help clarify anything from this report during open session before moving into closed to discuss this further.
Councillor Owens?
So until we have a closed session meeting, we're not making a decision on which options we're going through, right?
No, it was, sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Young.
The recommendation would just be to receive it in open.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's just an explanation of different options and it doesn't meet the requirement of in-camera. So unless any other councillors have any specific questions that they'd like to ask. Councillor Shaba?
Yeah, I just want to thank Miss Cassandra Young for putting this together and in a very straightforward and easy to understand way. So I appreciate that, and I will be making my comments in the closed session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Owens?
Staff are coming into the close as well, right? Perfect.
Okay, if Clerk Elliott could read the motion to accept the report as presented.
So we have a recommended motion that reads as moved by Casey Owens, seconded by Stacy White. Be it resolved that report number 2021-HR-004 entitled Chief Administrative Officer Selections Options be received. That considerations for obtaining a permanent chief administrative officer be referred to a future meeting of council at the call of the mayor, and that council move into a closed session to discuss interim chief administrative officer solutions further pursuant to section 239(2) for labor relations and personal matters involving identifiable individuals.
All in favor? Passed. Oh, sorry. Opposed? Passed. Okay, we'll now move into closed session, and Clerk Elliott will do whatever she has to do with the technical.
Go ahead.
Okay, there's nothing to report from the closed session. We'll now move to the confirmation bylaw. If you could read that, please, Ms. Elliott.
Moved by Lad Shaba, seconded by Casey Owens. Be it resolved that the following bylaw be read a first, second, third time, numbered, passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, and the seal of the corporation be affixed thereto. Bylaw number 21-016, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held February 23rd, 2021.
All in favor? Carried.
Favor.
We'll now have a motion to resolve the meeting,
Moved by
adjourn the meeting, sorry.
Moved by Stacy White, seconded by Eugene Ivanoff. Be it resolved that council adjourn the February 23rd, 2021 special meeting of council.
All in favor? Carried.
Favor.